I trusted my own lies so much, I almost destroyed everything I'd built with my bare hands. Look, I'm gonna be straight with y'all from the jump. My name's Nate Caldwell, I'm 38 years old, and 3 months ago I was living every fitness influencer's dream. 2 million followers hanging on my every word, a supplement line selling like hotcakes, and my own gym in downtown Nashville packed tighter than a stadium concert. The Caldwell method was supposed to be the holy grail of weight loss, promising folks they could drop 30 pounds in 30 days without giving up their favorite foods. The thing is, it was all built on a foundation of Photoshop dreams and carefully angled camera shots. God, even saying that out loud makes my stomach churn like I just chugged spoiled protein powder. 3 months ago, I was riding high. My transformation photos were everywhere, shared millions of times across every platform you can think of. Before and after shots showing this incredible metamorphosis from flabby dad bod to shredded Greek god in just 1 month. The comments were insane. People calling me their inspiration, their hero, their lifeline out of obesity hell. But here's the kicker that'll make your head spin. Those photos? The before shot was actually taken after I'd already been in the best shape of my life for 2 years. I'd gained weight on purpose, bloated myself with water and carbs, took the worst possible angles with the crappiest lighting I could find. The after photo was just me on a regular Tuesday, flexed and filtered to perfection. I told myself it was just marketing. Everyone does it, right? Right? The whistleblower who brought my world crashing down was someone I never saw coming. Sarah Martinez, my own graphic designer, the woman I'd trusted with every piece of content for 3 years. She had all the original files, all the Photoshop layers, every single piece of evidence that would prove I was selling snake oil wrapped in six-pack abs. I still remember the morning she walked into my office, laptop bag slung over her shoulder like she was carrying a loaded weapon. Her usually perfect ponytail was messy, dark circles under her eyes like she hadn't slept in days. "Nate, we need to talk," she said, and something in her voice made my coffee taste like ash. That tone. It was the same one my ex-wife used right before she asked for the divorce. "What's up, Sarah? You look like you've seen a ghost." She set her laptop on my desk, opened it with shaking fingers. "I've been keeping track of everything. Every edit, every manipulation, every lie we've been selling to people who trust you." The screen showed a folder labeled Evidence, with hundreds of files inside, before and after comparisons showing the original photos next to the doctored versions. Spreadsheets tracking which images had been used where, timestamps proving the manipulation timeline. My heart started hammering against my ribs like it was trying to escape my chest. "Sarah, what are you doing?" "I met a woman yesterday at my daughter's soccer game, Jennifer Walsh. She's been following your program for 6 months. Spent over $3,000 on your supplements and coaching calls. She showed me pictures of herself." Sarah's voice cracked. "She's developed an eating disorder, Nate. She's literally starving herself because your fake results made her think she was failing. $3,000. Jennifer Walsh. A real person with a real name and real pain." The room started spinning. All those success stories I'd been sharing, those glowing testimonials. How many of them were from people slowly destroying themselves trying to achieve impossible results? "You have 48 hours, Sarah continued, closing the laptop with a soft click that sounded like a judge's gavel. "Either you come clean publicly, or I release everything to the media. Every file, every manipulation, every lie." She walked out of my office, and I swear the air conditioning kicked on right at that moment, sending a chill down my spine that felt like a preview of the hell I was about to face. 48 hours. How do you confess to 2 million people that you've been lying to their faces? I spent that night pacing my apartment like a caged animal, downing cup after cup of coffee that tasted like liquid anxiety. My phone kept buzzing with notifications. People tagging me in their own transformation posts, thanking me for changing their lives, begging for advice on how to break through their plateaus. Each notification felt like a tiny dagger between my shoulder blades. By sunrise, I'd made my decision. Not the noble one Sarah was probably hoping for, but the desperate move of a man watching his empire crumble in real time. I was going to prove the Caldwell method actually worked by doing it myself publicly with zero digital manipulation. If I could just show them it worked, Maybe they'd forgive the fake photos. Maybe I could save face and save my business. I called an emergency meeting with my team the next morning. My social media manager, Katie, walked in looking like she'd rather be anywhere else on the planet. My business partner, Marcus, had that expression he gets when he's trying to figure out how much money we're about to lose. "All right, y'all, here's the deal," I said, trying to project confidence I absolutely did not feel. "We're gonna do something that's never been done before. I'm going live for 30 days, documenting every single meal, every workout, every weigh-in. No filters, no editing, no manipulation. The Caldwell method, raw and uncut." Katie nearly choked on her kombucha. "Nate, that's insane. What if it doesn't work? What if people see that the results aren't as dramatic as the photos suggest? Then we'll deal with that when it happens." I lied through my teeth. Inside, I was terrified it wouldn't work. What if my own method was complete garbage? Marcus leaned back in his chair, studying me like I was a stock he was considering shorting. "The lawsuits are already starting to pile up. 3 class action suits filed this week alone. People claiming false advertising, fraud, emotional distress. If this public challenge backfires, we're not just losing the business. We're looking at serious legal consequences." The weight of what I'd done hit me like a freight train loaded with regret. Real people, real money, real lives affected by my vanity and greed. How did I become this person? When did selling a dream turn into peddling a nightmare? But I was already in too deep to turn back. Sarah's deadline was ticking down like a bomb timer, and I had to try something, anything, to salvage the wreckage of my reputation. The announcement went live that afternoon. A video of me sitting in my gym, no fancy lighting, no professional makeup, just me and my guilt looking straight into the camera lens. "Hey everyone, Nate here with something I've never done before. Starting tomorrow, I'm putting the Caldwell method to the ultimate test. 30 days, completely live-streamed, no editing, no filters, no tricks. We're talking every meal weighed and measured on camera, every workout filmed from multiple angles, daily weigh-ins at the same time every morning." The comments started flooding in immediately. Excitement, skepticism, curiosity, anger from people who were already suspicious. My finger hovered over the post button for what felt like an eternity before I finally committed to this insane plan. There was no going back now. Either I'd prove my method worked, or I'd humiliate myself in front of 2 million people. Day 1 started at 5 a.m. with a live weigh-in that made my palms sweat worse than my first high school wrestling match. I'd deliberately gained 15 pounds over the past month, partly for the challenge and partly because stress eating had become my primary coping mechanism. The scale read 195 pounds. On my 5'10" frame, it wasn't exactly obese, but it was definitely the heaviest I'd been since college. The camera caught every angle, every imperfection, every bit of softness I'd spent years hiding behind strategic poses and digital magic. "All right, folks, here we are. 195 pounds of pure accountability," I said to the camera, trying to sound confident while wearing nothing but boxer shorts and a fake smile. 30 days from now, we'll see exactly what the Caldwell method can do when there's nowhere to hide. The chat was moving so fast I could barely read individual comments, but the general sentiment was clear. People were hungry for transparency, desperate to see if the guru they'd been following was as real as his promises. At least they hadn't seen Sarah's evidence yet. I still had time to make this work. The first week was brutal in ways I hadn't anticipated. Not just the physical challenge of sticking to my own restrictive meal plan, but the psychological pressure of having thousands of people watching my every move. Every bite of food was scrutinized. Every missed rep was noted. Every moment of weakness was captured for posterity. I was eating exactly what I'd been prescribing to my followers for years. Egg whites and spinach for breakfast, grilled chicken and broccoli for lunch, salmon and asparagus for dinner. Protein shakes timed precisely around workouts, supplements taken on schedule, water intake measured to the ounce. By day 4, I was fantasizing about pizza with the intensity of a man lost in the desert dreaming of an oasis. This is what I'd been telling people to do for months. How had I never actually tried it myself? The workouts were even worse. My program called for 2 hours of intense training daily, split between cardio and strength work. I designed it based on what I thought would create the most dramatic visual results, not what was actually sustainable or healthy. After day 6, I collapsed in my apartment, every muscle screaming in protest. My energy levels were in the basement, my mood was darker than a coal mine, and I was starting to understand why so many of my followers had complained about feeling terrible on the program. Maybe Sarah was right. Maybe I had been selling something harmful. But the strangest things started happening around day 8. The comments began to shift. Instead of just cheering for dramatic results, people started relating to my struggle. They shared their own stories of failed diets, unrealistic expectations, and the pressure to transform overnight. "Thank you for showing the real side," one comment read. "I've been feeling like a failure because I couldn't stick to impossible standards. This is the first time I've seen an influencer actually look human," wrote another. "For the first time in years, I felt like I was connecting with people instead of just selling to them." Day 12 brought the first major crisis. I'd lost 8 pounds, which sounds impressive until you realize my own program promised 15 pounds by this point. The comments section exploded with disappointment, accusations of fake scales, demands for refunds. More concerning were the private messages from followers who'd been trying the program. Horror stories of hair loss from malnutrition, irregular heartbeats from excessive stimulants, social isolation from the restrictive eating requirements. These weren't just numbers on a screen. These were real people suffering because of my fake promises. That night, I called my mom for the first time in months. She lived 3 states away, but her voice sounded like it was coming from the next room. "Nathan, you sound terrible. Are you eating enough?" The irony hit me like a slap across the face. My own mother was worried about my nutrition while I was supposedly demonstrating the ultimate healthy lifestyle. "I'm fine, Mom. Just working through some things. Your daddy and I have been watching your videos. This diet you're doing, it looks like punishment, not health. When did you start thinking you had to hurt yourself to be worthy of love? When did I start thinking I had to hurt myself to be worthy of love?" The question haunted me through the next week. Every morning weigh-in became an exercise in public humiliation as my results fell further behind my own promises. By day 18, I'd lost 12 pounds instead of the projected 20, and the backlash was getting vicious. But something unexpected was happening too. A different group of followers was emerging, people who appreciated the honesty, the struggle, the reality of what healthy change actually looked like. They weren't just cheering for dramatic transformations anymore. They were supporting the process, celebrating small victories, sharing their own journeys with unprecedented vulnerability. Maybe this is what I should have been selling all along. Not impossible results, but possible progress. Day 21 brought Sarah back into my life in the worst possible way. She'd kept her word, staying quiet while I attempted my public redemption, but the pressure had finally gotten to her. Someone had leaked that she had damaging information about me, and reporters were hounding her for the story. She called me at 6 in the morning, voice shaking with stress and exhaustion. "Nate, I can't hold them off much longer. They're offering money, lots of money, for the evidence. My daughter's college fund. We need the money, and I'm tired of protecting someone who might not deserve protection." She was right. I didn't deserve protection. But 2 million people didn't deserve to be collateral damage in my downfall. "Sarah, give me until day 30. If I can't prove the method works without digital manipulation, if I can't show people what healthy progress actually looks like, then release everything. But please, let me finish what I started." The silence on the other end stretched for what felt like hours. 9 more days, Nate. Then I'm done being complicit in whatever this is. Day 24 brought my breaking point. I'd been averaging 3 to 4 hours of sleep per night. My body was breaking down from the extreme regimen, and the constant scrutiny was driving me toward what felt like a complete mental breakdown. I was in the middle of a live workout, struggling through a set of burpees that should have been routine when everything just stopped. My legs gave out, my vision blurred, and I found myself sitting on my gym floor, crying in front of thousands of strangers. This is what rock bottom looks like. Sobbing on camera while wearing compression shorts and a heart rate monitor. But instead of mockery, the comments filled with support. People sharing their own stories of breakdown and recovery, offering encouragement, reminding me that perfection wasn't the goal. Progress was. "You're more real right now than you've ever been," someone wrote. "This is what actual transformation looks like," said another. Maybe they were right. Maybe falling apart was the first step toward actually building something authentic. The final week was different. Instead of chasing impossible numbers on a scale, I started focusing on how I felt, how I was sleeping, whether I could sustain this way of living beyond the 30-day challenge. I adjusted the meal plan to include more variety, reduced the workout intensity to something a human being could actually maintain, and started talking honestly about the difference between marketing promises and realistic expectations. By day 28, I'd lost a total of 16 pounds. Not the dramatic 30 I'd been promising, but steady, sustainable progress that felt achievable rather than punishing. 16 pounds of actual change instead of 30 pounds of digital fiction. The night before the final weigh-in, I couldn't sleep. Not because of anxiety about the results, but because I knew this was bigger than just proving a diet plan worked. This was about whether I could rebuild trust with people I'd betrayed, whether I could transform my business from selling fantasies to supporting reality. Sarah sent me a text at midnight. "Watch tonight's stream. You look different, healthier, but not just physically." Maybe she was right. Maybe I'd found something more valuable than six-pack abs. I'd found my integrity. Day 30 arrived with all the fanfare of a final exam. The live stream started at dawn. My gym packed with local media, followers who'd driven from neighboring states, and enough cameras to film a movie. The scale sat in the center of the room like a judgment throne, waiting to deliver its verdict on my month of public accountability. I stepped up wearing the same boxer shorts I'd worn on day one. No filters, no tricks, no hiding behind carefully crafted angles. The number flashed, 179 pounds. 16 pounds lost in 30 days, exactly what I'd achieved, exactly what I'd documented, exactly what thousands of people had witnessed every step of the way. The room erupted in applause, but it wasn't just about the number. It was about the journey, the transparency, the willingness to show that real change takes time, effort, and honesty about what's actually achievable. 16 pounds. Not 30. Not the impossible promise, but real, sustainable, honest progress. But the biggest surprise came when I opened the floor for questions. A woman in the back row stood up, tears streaming down her face. "My name is Jennifer Walsh," she said, and my heart stopped. The woman Sarah had mentioned, the one whose eating disorder had been triggered by my fake results. "I want to thank you for showing me what healthy actually looks like." Jennifer Walsh. Real person, real name, real healing. She continued, "When I saw your posts about struggling, about the process being hard, about results not matching expectations, it helped me realize I wasn't failing. The standards were just impossible. I got help, I'm in recovery, and I'm learning to be kind to my body instead of punishing it." The room was silent except for the sound of cameras clicking and my own heart pounding against my ribs like it was trying to escape with gratitude. After the event, Sarah approached me with her laptop bag, but this time her expression was softer, more hopeful than hostile. "I still have all the evidence," she said. "The fake photos, the manipulated timeline, everything. But I also have 30 days of footage showing you telling the truth. What do you want to do?" What did I want to do? I thought about Jennifer Walsh's tears, about the followers who'd found hope in my struggle instead of despair in my perfection, about the difference between selling dreams and supporting reality. "Release it all," I told her. "The fake stuff and the real stuff. Let people see the whole story. The lies and the truth. They deserve to know everything, and I deserve whatever consequences come from that honesty." 3 weeks later, Sarah's exposé went viral in ways I never could have anticipated. But instead of destroying me, it started a conversation about authenticity in fitness culture, about the pressure to achieve impossible results, about the difference between inspiration and manipulation. The lawsuits didn't disappear, but many of the plaintiffs agreed to settle when I offered full refunds plus documentation of sustainable approaches to health and fitness. My follower count dropped by 60%, but the people who remained were there for the right reasons. I lost 1 million fake followers but gained something more valuable: actual credibility. 6 months later, my gym is still open, smaller but healthier. Instead of promising miracle transformations, we focus on sustainable habits, realistic goals, and the kind of support that helps people build confidence instead of destroying it. I still get messages from people thanking me for the 30-day challenge, not because it showed them how to lose weight quickly, but because it showed them what honest progress actually looks like. Messy, imperfect, sometimes disappointing, but real in ways that filtered fantasies never could be. The truth, even when it's ugly, is always more beautiful than the prettiest lie. My new tagline isn't about miracle results or dramatic transformations. It's simple: progress over perfection, truth over trends, health over hype. Some nights, I still wonder what would have happened if I just kept the fake photos, kept selling the impossible dream, kept building my empire on digital fiction. Would I be richer, more famous, more successful by traditional metrics? Maybe, but I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, and I definitely wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror without flinching. The most surprising thing about losing everything fake was discovering what remained when all the lies were stripped away. Not the perfect body I'd been photoshopping for years, but something better. The courage to be imperfect in public, the strength to admit mistakes, and the wisdom to know that real transformation happens in the heart before it ever shows up in the mirror. Last week, Jennifer Walsh sent me a photo. Not a before and after transformation shot, but a picture of her smiling at her daughter's soccer game, looking healthy and happy and free from the prison of impossible expectations. That's the only transformation photo I ever want to see again. If you've ever been caught between who you are and who you think you should be, if you've ever felt like you're failing because reality doesn't match the highlight reel, if you've ever wondered whether it's possible to start over after everything falls apart, let me tell you something. The most powerful transformation isn't the one that happens to your body. It's the one that happens when you stop lying to yourself and start living in the truth, even when that truth is messier, slower, and less Instagram-worthy than the fantasy you've been chasing. Sometimes losing everything fake is the only way to find something real. Ever faced a choice between comfortable lies and uncomfortable truths? Drop your story in the comments, and hit subscribe for more raw reality instead of polished fiction.